can leave it there, Sir David. Susie, what have you plucked from the nether regions of our drinks trolley today?
I've grabbed a cider today. It's called Welsh Mountain Cider, which, as you might have guessed, is made in the Welsh Mountains.
I did get that.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. It's a very good choice.
Very tasty.
Pass them around. Thank you very much. Today's confession comes from Colin, certificate PG.
Ooh.
Simon in the Confessional Collective. Although happily retired now, back in 2006, I was a member of the design team for a new spa development in a UK city, which we'll call Spa B. However, in development terms, Spa B was a few years behind another spa development in a nearby UK city, which we'll call Spa A.
Okay.
The curtains are being
Yeah, they really are, aren't they?
closed on this. Quite by chance, I received a telephone call from the editor of a construction industry publication who asked if I'd like an all-expenses-paid trip to Spa A within a few days of it opening. However, there's no such thing as a free lunch, and I was asked if I'd write an article for publication describing my experience. However, he offered a small fee for my literary efforts, which made up my mind for me, so I readily agreed. Make it light-hearted and humorous, he said, and I thought, I can do humorous. Well,
Oh, really?
you'll be the judge of that. I mentioned my impending visit to Spa A to my client, who was the developer of Spa B. Pay attention. And he paused for a moment and then asked if I'd do them a small favour. Of course I will, I replied foolishly. We'd be grateful, he said, if you could take a sample of the spa water in Spa A and pass it to us. Now, I didn't ask too many questions, but I knew there was a debate about how each spa was treating its spa water to render it safe for bathing, as each was employing a different treatment method. And I assumed that this request was connected to this. Well, the thought of carrying out a petty, minor bit of industrial espionage only spurred me on. So I asked a nursery friend of mine if she had a suitable sterilized specimen jar that she could provide me for my visit, and she duly obliged, providing me with a small, transparent plastic vessel with a top that screwed on and unscrewed off. Okay?
Okay.
The day of my visit duly arrived, and I arrived at Spa A paying more attention than I would normally pay to the facilities around me, because I'd agreed to write about them afterwards. As for the water sample I'd promised to take, I didn't really feel comfortable holding the specimen jar in my hand as I entered the pool, so before I left my changing room cubicle, I put it in the only place available to me, the tiny pocket of my swimming trunks.
Oh, yes.
So this is the little pocket inside with a little kind of netting.
Of course.
Yeah? Walking around the edge of the pool with this additional appendage in my trunks made me feel rather uncomfortable, I have to say. So I didn't waste any time immersing myself in the pool waters, whereupon I discovered I felt just as uncomfortable because the air-filled specimen jar was very buoyant. And if I floated on my back, I was conscious that a certain part of my anatomy floated higher than the rest, looking rather like a three-dimensional, three-leafed fig leaf on the end of a very short twig. However,
Yeah. Describe it like that.
However, I was in luck. There were only, now we've heard this before, and this week, there were only two people in the pool. Myself and a foreign female bather. And she was on the other side of the pool. I don't know how he knows foreign. Anyway, foreign female bather on the other side of the pool. However, as I rummaged in my pocket and withdrew the specimen jar from its gauzy confinement, the inevitable happened, and she made a beeline in my direction with the unerring accuracy and speed of a torpedo. At the moment I unscrewed and released the top of the specimen jar underwater, she was probably less than 6 feet from me. The pool was very quiet and the water as still as the proverbial mill pond until the top came off the specimen jar, when what seemed at the time like a seismic blast of air escaped and rushed to the water, where it broke wind in spectacular style with huge bubbles aplenty. Though this occurred 17 years ago, I've now never quite forgotten the look of disgust on the foreign female bather's face. The water sample was duly taken and I returned it to my pocket, eventually being passed to the developer of Spa B, who I suspect did diddly squat with it, and the article was duly written and published. But I seek forgiveness from the mystery woman bather, who must have formed a very poor opinion of British male bathers, and to the developer of Spa A, who I guess was the target of my feeble attempt at industrial espionage. But most of all, the great British public Although there's an L missing there, whose standards,
Really?
I must have dragged to a new depth in the eyes of this female bather. Well, it's a very good. I like that tale,
Very good.
particularly the very short twig. Sister Susie, what do you say?
Well, Colin, yeah, do you know what? You really cheered me up. That really made me laugh. The description of the fig leaf is quite confusing and interesting way to describe it. But I feel like
Calm
you
down,
should have
Susie.
known that there was air in the specimen jar. So obviously, what's going to happen when you put it underwater and unscrew it? It's going to cause bubbles. And I just don't think you should have been getting on with that. So I'm just not going to forgive.
Brother from another gutter.
I mean, of all the ways this could have gone, with him having to
true.
get something out of his trunks, I think they went the best possible way. So, I'm definitely going to forgive. I mean, he wasn't able to know that the woman was going to make a beeline for him in the middle of the pool. And who knew that spa water was different? I didn't think it was different to anything else. So, I'm going to forgive.